Wait, what did he just say? That was the exact reaction inside the room, when an FBI insider quietly said something that instantly changed everything. We don't think he ever left. And in that moment, the entire room went silent, because if that's true, then the person who took Nancy Guthrie never ran. He didn't disappear. He didn't escape. He's still here, in the same area. Maybe he walked past someone. Maybe someone saw him and didn't even realize it. Or worse, maybe he's still watching. And here's the part that makes this even more disturbing. There was a clue, a small detail, something that had been sitting in plain sight from the very beginning. People saw it, but nobody understood it until last night, because a leaked report just surfaced. And that one leak may have completely flipped this entire investigation upside down. Now, the FBI is quietly admitting something they weren't ready to say before. The kidnapper could still be out there. And if that's true, then everything you thought about this case is about to change. Nancy Guthrie was never supposed to become a headline. 84 years old, living alone in what neighbors described as one of the safest, quietest neighborhoods in Arizona. The kind of place where nothing unusual ever happens, where routines don't change, where people notice even the smallest detail out of place. And that's exactly why what happened here doesn't make sense. Because Nancy didn't just disappear. She vanished without a sound, without a warning, without leaving behind anything that could explain what really happened inside that house. No signs of forced entry. No clear struggle. No obvious reason. Just an empty home and a timeline that investigators now believe was being watched long before anyone realized it. And here's where things start to take a darker turn. Because according to early reports, the first sign that something was wrong didn't come from police. It came from silence. Family members couldn't reach her. Calls went unanswered. Messages ignored. At first, it didn't seem like a crisis, just a missed call, maybe a bad signal. Maybe she was resting. But hours turned into a full day. And that's when concern turned into panic. Authorities were contacted. A welfare check was requested. And what they found when they arrived only raised more questions. Because inside that home, everything looked normal. Too normal. No broken windows. No overturned furniture. No signs that anyone had forced their way in. It was as if Nancy had simply stood up, walked out, and never came back. But investigators now believe that's not what happened at all. Because as they began pulling surveillance footage from nearby homes, something appeared that completely changed the direction of this case. A figure, captured briefly, standing outside Nancy's home days before she disappeared. Not moving, not knocking, not doing anything you would normally expect. Just standing there, watching. And what made it even more unsettling was how calm he looked. No panic, no rush, no hesitation. Just stillness, like someone studying a target. At the time, no one thought much of it. Neighbors didn't report anything unusual. No alerts were triggered. Because let's be honest, if you saw someone standing outside a house for a few seconds, you probably wouldn't think twice about it either. But now, that moment is being looked at very differently. Because investigators are no longer treating it as random. They're calling it intentional, planned, a possible pre-visit. And that changes everything. Because if someone was watching her days, or even weeks before she vanished, then this wasn't a sudden decision. This wasn't an accident. This was something that had been building quietly in the background. And here's where things get even more complicated. Nancy wasn't completely unknown. She had connections that brought immediate attention to this case the moment her name hit the news. Within hours, the story spread. Within days, it was everywhere. People were talking, speculating, try to understand how something like this could happen without anyone noticing. And the more attention this case received, the more pressure started building on investigators. Local authorities quickly realized this wasn't something they could handle alone. And then it happened. The FBI stepped in. Now, when federal agents get involved this early, it usually means one thing. They see something bigger, something more complex than what's visible on the surface. And almost immediately, the investigation shifted. More resources, more surveillance, more analysis. But at the same time, something else started happening that most people didn't notice. Public updates became quieter, details became limited, and certain information simply stopped being shared. At first, people assumed it was normal, just part of an ongoing investigation. But now, experts are looking back at that silence very differently. Because sometimes it's not what investigators say, it's what they stop saying that matters the most. And that brings us back to the one detail that almost everyone ignored, that figure outside her home. Because according to sources close to the investigation, that wasn't just a random moment captured on camera. That may have been the beginning, the first step in something much bigger, something far more calculated than anyone originally thought. And if that's true, then the question isn't just what happened to Nancy Guthrie. The real question is, how long had someone been planning it? And more importantly, why? Because if this was planned, if this was watched, if this was executed with that level of precision, then whoever did this didn't just disappear. They knew exactly what they were doing. And they may have known something about Nancy that nobody else did. And that's the part of the story that investigators are still trying to understand. But what they recently uncovered might finally explain everything. Or it might make this case even more disturbing than it already is. At first, investigators believed they were dealing with a clean disappearance. No noise, no witnesses, no immediate suspects. But that assumption didn't last long, because just days into the investigation, something surfaced that completely shifted the direction of this case. And it didn't come from police. It didn't come from the FBI. It came from a leak. Sir, we just traced the call again. That single line reportedly froze the entire FBI room. Because what came next wasn't normal, it wasn't random, it was a connection no one was supposed to find. A voice on the encrypted line allegedly said, $5 million has been transferred. Now leave the boy out of this. And the moment investigators heard that audio, everything changed. Because that voice didn't come from a stranger. It allegedly matched someone tied directly to Nancy Guthrie's son. Wait, what? Yeah, that's exactly what one senior agent reportedly said before shutting the meeting down instantly. But here's where it gets even darker. The call wasn't just recorded once. It was made 3 different times, from 3 different locations, and each time the money trail leads back to one impossible direction. Inside influence. And now the FBI isn't asking if there's a connection anymore. They're asking who inside the family knew about the $5 million transfer before the kidnapping even went public. Because if this leak is real, then this isn't just a kidnapping case anymore. It's something far more dangerous and deeply personal. And what they uncover next will shock the entire investigation. Before that $5 million phone call ever surfaced, before the FBI started connecting names that were never supposed to be linked, this entire situation was already quietly cracking from the inside. And according to leaked internal files, the first signs didn't come from outside enemies. They came from within the family circle itself. Nancy Guthrie was already a well-known figure in her community, respected, private, and fiercely protective of her family. People describe her as someone who never invited attention, never chased headlines, and always kept her personal life locked away from the public eye. But behind that calm image, investigators now say there was something growing for months. Tension, distance, and unexplained silence from her son. Because according to one leaked FBI timeline, her son, whose name is being withheld in early reports, had already been flagged in a separate, unrelated financial monitoring case weeks before the kidnapping alert ever surfaced. At first, it looked like nothing serious. Just unusual transfers, small inconsistencies, and one offshore account that didn't match his known financial profile. But one agent reportedly said, it wasn't the money that caught our attention, it was the timing. Because every single irregular transaction seemed to line up with moments of personal conflict inside the Guthrie household. And that's where things start getting uncomfortable. Friends of the family describe a sudden change in behavior from Nancy's son in the weeks leading up to the incident. One close acquaintance allegedly told investigators he wasn't himself, like he was under pressure from something he couldn't talk about. But what kind of pressure? That question remained unanswered. until everything exploded. Meanwhile, outside the family, authorities had already been tracking a small but highly organized network suspected of operating across multiple states, linked to encrypted communication channels, burner phones, and coordinated financial movement. Nothing directly tied to the Guthries at first. At least not officially. But behind closed doors, FBI analysts were reportedly comparing patterns. And what they found started forming a disturbing overlap. Dates matched, communication spikes matched, and most importantly, money flow patterns started pointing in a direction no one expected, toward people connected indirectly to Nancy's son. Still, investigators weren't ready to call it a connection, because in cases like this, assumptions can destroy everything. Then came the first real disruption, a missing 12-hour window in digital logs, a gap where communication data should have existed, but didn't. One analyst reportedly said, it was like someone stepped in and wiped the conversation out completely. And that's when the investigation stopped being routine. Because wiping data doesn't happen by accident. It happens for a reason, a serious reason. Inside the Guthrie household, the emotional pressure reportedly intensified around the same time. Family members began limiting communication. Calls went unanswered. And according to one insider, even simple conversations started feeling carefully controlled, like every word had consequences. Then came the moment that changed everything. A flagged international transfer, $5 million, moved through layered accounts designed to break traceability. At first, it looked like a ransom payment, but there was one problem. No official ransom demand had been publicly reported yet, which meant one terrifying possibility started forming inside the FBI briefing rooms. What if the money moved before the kidnapping narrative fully surfaced? That's when agents began asking a question no one wanted to say out loud. Was this really a kidnapping situation? Or something that was already financially arranged before anyone realized what was happening? And just when investigators thought they were close to understanding the structure, everything escalated again. A secure communication line, previously inactive, suddenly lit up. 3 short calls, encrypted routing, and one phrase that would later become the center of the entire case. Don't involve the boy. The payment is already confirmed. No identity, no context, just that. And according to leaked transcripts, that voice analysis matched partially to someone inside the Guthrie family circle. And just like that, everything exploded. Social media went into chaos. Threads started appearing everywhere. People began connecting dots. Old footage was reanalyzed. Every detail, every movement, every second of surveillance suddenly mattered. And then something even more shocking happened. A second leak dropped. This time, it wasn't just a theory. It was a claim. A bold one. The suspect was seen again after Nancy disappeared. Now think about that for a second. If that's true, then this entire case changes instantly. Because that would mean one thing. He didn't run. He didn't panic. He stayed right there in the same area, moving around like nothing ever happened. And that's exactly what people started believing. Panic spread. Neighbors began questioning everything. Wait, did I see him? Was that the same guy? Why didn't we notice this before? And then the media picked it up. Suddenly, headlines started shifting. Not missing person case anymore. Now it was suspect may still be in the area. FBI tracking movement after disappearance. New evidence suggests ongoing threat. But here's where things take a darker turn. Because behind all the noise, behind all the speculation, the FBI made a move. A quiet one. No press conference. No announcement. Just a shift. Agents began narrowing their focus. Fewer public updates. Less information being shared. And according to sources close to the investigation, that only happens when they're getting close. Really close. One insider reportedly said something that hasn't been confirmed publicly, but has been repeated everywhere online. They're not searching anymore, they're building a case. And if that's true, then it means investigators may already know more than they're saying. A lot more. But the most chilling part? It came from a third piece of information that surfaced late last night. A detail so small, Most people almost ignored it until someone pointed it out. The timeline. Because when analysts lined everything up, the calls, the sightings, the movement, one thing became impossible to ignore. The pattern never stopped, even after Nancy disappeared, which leads to a terrifying possibility. This wasn't the end of something. This might have been the beginning. And if the person behind this is still active, still moving, still out there, then the real question isn't just what happened to Nancy Guthrie. The real question is, who could be next? And this is the moment when everything went completely out of control, because what started as a quiet investigation suddenly turned into a full-blown public storm. Within hours of those leaks hitting the internet, social media exploded, not slowly, not gradually, instantly. One post turned into thousands, thousands turned into millions, and suddenly everyone had a theory, everyone had an opinion, everyone believed they knew what was really happening. Hashtags started trending. Hashtag he never left, hashtag Nancy Guthrie case, hashtag FBI knows. And once those tags caught fire, there was no stopping it. People began breaking down every frame of the footage, zooming in, enhancing images, comparing screenshots. Some even claimed they had identified the suspect. Names started circulating. Faces were being posted. Accusations thrown without proof. And that's when things took a dangerous turn. Because now, this wasn't just an investigation anymore. This was a public hunt. And not everyone was playing fair. Some users claimed they recognized the pinky ring detail from the footage. Others pointed to random individuals, saying, "That's him. This is the guy. No way that's a coincidence." And within minutes, those posts would go viral. But here's the problem. None of it was confirmed. Not by authorities. Not by the FBI. Yet the damage? It was already being done. Meanwhile, influencers and content creators jumped in. YouTubers, TikTok analysts, so-called crime experts. Everyone trying to be the first to crack the case. Videos started popping up with titles like, "FBI is hiding the truth. We found the suspect before police did. Leaked evidence they don't want you to see." And people watched. Millions of views. Millions of comments. Debates turned into arguments. Arguments turned into chaos. Some believed the FBI was protecting someone. Others believed they were about to make a major arrest. And then something even more controversial happened. A well-known public figure, someone with a large following, posted a statement that sent shockwaves through the entire case. They wrote, "If the FBI already knows who did this, then why is he still free?" That one question lit a fire no one could control, because now the narrative had shifted. This wasn't just about a missing person anymore. Now, people were questioning authority, questioning the investigation, questioning everything. Comments flooded in. Are they covering this up? Why are they staying silent? What aren't they telling us? And just when it seemed like the situation couldn't get more intense, reports started coming in that investigators were monitoring online activity, watching, tracking, observing how fast information and misinformation was spreading. Because in cases like this, public pressure can either help or completely destroy an investigation. And right now, it was doing both. But through all the noise, all the chaos, all the accusations, one thing remained at the center of it all. A single, terrifying possibility that nobody could ignore anymore. If the FBI is this quiet, if they're this focused, if they've pulled back this much, then maybe, just maybe, they're closer than anyone realizes. And if that's true, then something big is about to happen. Something that could either answer everything or make this case even more dangerous than it already is. And just when people thought this case had reached its peak, something surfaced that nobody was prepared for. Not a rumor, not a theory, but a detail quietly pulled from inside the investigation. And it changes everything. Because late last night, a source close to the case claimed that investigators are no longer looking at this as a single event crime. They're looking at it as part of a pattern. Let that sink in. A pattern. Now, at first, that might not sound shocking. But when analysts started digging deeper, they found something that instantly raised alarms. Cases, Other disappearances, not identical, but similar enough to make investigators pause. Same type of target, same quiet neighborhoods, same lack of forced entry. And in at least one of those cases, a witness described something chilling. A man standing outside a home, watching, not approaching, not interacting, just there. Sound familiar? Because it should. And suddenly the question isn't just about Nancy Guthrie anymore. Now it's bigger, much bigger, because if this connection is real, then this wasn't random. This wasn't isolated. This could be someone who has done this before. And if they've done it before, then there's one terrifying possibility nobody wants to say out loud. They could do it again. But here's where things take an even darker turn. Because while the public is focused on the suspect, investigators are now focused on something else entirely. Timing. Because when they lined up the dates, something didn't add up. There's a gap, a window of time that doesn't match the original timeline, which raises a disturbing question. Was Nancy the intended target, or did something go wrong? And if something went wrong, then what was the original plan? Because according to one insider, there may have been more movement, more activity, more planning than anyone has been told. And that brings us back to the one detail that started all of this, the clue everyone missed. Because now, investigators believe that detail wasn't just evidence. It was a message, a signal, something left behind intentionally. And if that's true, then the person behind this didn't just want to disappear. They want to confuse, to mislead, to stay one step ahead. And so far, they have. Because as of right now, no arrest, no confirmed suspect, no answers, just silence. And in investigations like this, silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means something is building, something big, something that could break this entire case open at any moment. Or something that could prove this is far from over. Because if the FBI is right, and the person responsible is still out there, watching, waiting, blending in like nothing ever happened, then the story is not ending anytime soon. In fact, this might only be the beginning. Now I need you to tell me what you think. Because this is where it gets serious. Do you believe the FBI already knows who did this, and they're just waiting to make a move? Or is something bigger being hidden from the public? And here's the real question. If the kidnapper is still out there, how close do you think they actually are? Drop your theory in the comments right now. I'm reading everything. And if you want real-time updates the moment something breaks, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Because this case, it's far from over.